12 so years ago, I was teaching Ayurvedic certification to students. And I said to them, in the future, we will not have healing centers. Because if we're good at what we're doing, we'll heal them. And if we're healers, we are sending the message out, come to me unhealthy. So we're perpetuating a myth. We're perpetuating something we don't want to perpetuate.
Yeah, we're perpetuating illness. And so does the health industry, the illness industry. You know, the drug industry keeps people sick.
Right. And we want to put ourselves out of business. That's how good we have to be.
Yeah.
And so I said, in the future, there'll be joy centers. There won't be healing centers. You'll go to grow. Oh, let's do something.
You got to accentuate the positive. Wow, I feel good. A little bit of feel good goes a long way.
You're listening to Karen Swain, teacher of Deliberate Creation, accentuating the positive, showing you a way to a better life.
Accentuating the positive, it's not just fad, it's sanity. Who in their right mind would accentuate anything else?
If you feel like that's what you want to do.
Hello and welcome to another show, Accentuating the Positive with Karen Swain. So excited to be with you again. I am going to introduce you to the Orange Cowboy, as you can see, Swami. Now, he's got a few names, Swami the Orange Cowboy, but he's got another name, Sadeshia. I don't even think I can say it. Welcome to the show.
Very joy, Karen. Thank you for the adventurous attempt at my name.
Tell me how you pronounce it. Sadashiva.
Sadashiva. Sadashiva Tirtha. Sadashiva means ever blissful.
Oh, beautiful.
Ever blissful. Yeah.
And of course, Swami is a shaman and a monk.
Yes.
Yeah. Who was your teacher that ordained you into the monkhood? A monk of any particular religion or?
Well, I'm not of a religious order. They are obviously just because culturally they're Hindu. My gurus, we're in the Tirtha lineage, which comes from Adi Shankaracharya, for those who study the Vedic. And we have a second lineage, which is the Siddha Yoga lineage, which is direct experience of the Kundalini Shakti.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Beautiful, beautiful. So Swami and I have connected through a group, and we had a chat the other day, and I think we spoke for hours. How long were we? We were just chatting the other day on Skype, and I think it was like 2.5 hours. We had so much to talk about. I hope we haven't talked ourselves out. But
nice talking to you. So
yeah, he's a fascinating fellow, absolutely fascinating fellow, and you know, here to be a part of the upliftment of our world, obviously. But how did you start your spiritual journey? I always like to find out about people's awakening journey. What was happening for you?
Sure. Well, my spiritual journey started before I even knew words like spiritual journey. And it goes back to about 4th grade. And I started to have these dreams at night, very disturbing dreams that I would be separated from my parents. Mm-hmm. And over the next 10 years, the dreams changed a little bit, but it was always the same theme. I'd come home, my parents moved without telling me, or things like that. Mm-hmm. Then one day, about 17, 16 years old, I actually, in the car with my parents, everything swirled and went black for me. And I started crying and saying, I don't want you to die. And when my eyesight came back, I saw my parents like, what are you talking about? And about within the year, they were in a car accident and they passed away.
Wow.
So when people talk about, oh, you must think you're cool because you're a psychic. No, that was not a gift in any way. I didn't wish it on me because at the time I said, why would I want that if I can't do anything about it? Why are you telling me that? Mm-hmm. And it's only later that I realized that probably saved my life. It was probably preparing me for that. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, I'm grateful in that regard. And Karen, you know the expression, if whatever happens to you in a challenging way, an equal and better opportunity comes to replace it. Definitely. And so as tragic as my parents' death was, it allowed me the freedom and the curiosity to just full 100% jump into the mystical path. back in 1972. Who was talking to me? How did I know this? This little thing called meditation that the Beatles did started to percolate into the mass media, and I went for it. And so I really basically gave my life over, left the college of my radio, TV, and film days, which I lost all interest in at that point, and just went to college for meditation and yoga and spiritual philosophies.
So you were 18 at the time. You just left school?
Yeah, I had started college a half year early. So yeah, that was what happened.
Yeah. And obviously your parents were, well, not obviously, but they were Jewish.
Yes.
Yeah. And did they have culturally, did they have a strict sort of religious regime, or were they pretty like relaxed about it?
Well, that's why I said they're culturally, it was like, the big holidays was a time to get together with family. It was, they were not very strict.
Right.
Fortunately.
Yeah. So it's just interesting that you said you had the freedom to pursue spiritual pursuits. It's because they, had both left their planet. Did you think that maybe you didn't have the freedom if they hadn't of, or?
Well, you brought up sort of like, I call it like the dutiful son. There's certain things that your culture does.
Yeah.
And if kids in my day left their family, it was usually because they were really angry and fighting with their parents.
Yeah.
I had a pretty decent relationship, so there wouldn't be any reason for me to leave. And I was actually enjoying college. It was the first time I was enjoying school, really, because it was TV and film and creativity. So I was really peaked at a prime. I was just starting a life of my dreams, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So once they weren't there, and I lost, my heart wasn't in anything that I loved. And so there was nobody there that I sort of felt duty bound to compromise with, in a healthy compromise.
Mm-hmm.
And then this meditation came along, and Star Trek was there, and it was like all this stuff was like I was a sponge going, oh my God, this is amazing. ESP and time travel, and physics was starting to talk about these things at the time.
Yeah. And
so that's what I did. And I really was looking for a place to go and get some spiritual books and just spend like 3 years and figure out what was going on. That was what I wanted to.
So this would have been in the, early 70s?
Yeah, 72.
Yeah.
Roughly 72.
Yeah. Exciting times in the early 70s. So what did you find out about your psychic ability? It's interesting hearing people's stories. You always hear your own story in other people's stories. I'm thinking about my journey as I'm listening to yours and thinking, yeah, that's the same.
Interesting. Yeah. I really shut down all that psychic stuff. I didn't want to, it wasn't conscious. I didn't say I don't want to do it, but a friend of mine was showing me how psychic he was, and I actually didn't believe it.
Right.
It was like, oh no, that's nonsense. But he was my friend, and I knew he wasn't jiving me. Mm-hmm. So I just sort of like politely didn't snicker in front of him, but I just couldn't believe, I figured he was like crazy, So I even to this day, I don't believe I'm a medium, and yet it comes out and I go, holy cow, look at that. That logical brain doesn't believe it because it never will believe it.
Why?
But because logically there's no from this piece of thing logically to the next piece of thing. But the spiritual brain, the right brain, of course. Mm. So as I go into a reading, the other thing is I challenge myself every time I'm in a reading. I never say, okay, I can breeze through this. I've pushed myself. What more can show me? Let's really do something new this time. And so that's kind of the fear. Oh my God, I come in with brand new eyes every time. So it's kind of like, oh my God, can I do this? So I like that in a sense. I'd rather not be, I'm not overly nervous, but I would just fall asleep if it was same old.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. It's interesting because my powers of insight astound me sometimes, absolutely astound me. But my logical brain still doubts, it still doubts. I have to say, I think it's perfectly logical to be a psychic or a medium. That's just how my logical brain has defined it. It's logical to me. It's illogical not to be, actually. I think years ago I read in the Seth books that he said, all of us are communicating telepathically. We couldn't drive on our roads if we weren't. And when you think about it, you do know what people are going to do before they do things. And, and you know when someone's looking at you in the traffic, and there's just so much evidence that it's happening. And I started thinking about that when I was really young. But my little logical brain still goes, can I do this?
Right, exactly. Because when you see the miracles, I think when I'm seeing the miracles, it's my inner eye that sees them. It's not my logical eye.
Yeah.
And when the inner eye, they're like, if you ever had a friend or a parent who didn't believe in this, you go, but look at this. And they go, no. I can never convince emotionally the logical. And that's okay. I used to try to no avail. You got to start this meditation. It's the greatest thing in the world. And people would just like very politely look at me and go, oh, I got to sit through this again.
It's so interesting. That logical mind of ours is so powerful, and that's why it takes tragedy to wake us out of the illusion of the logical mind. It doesn't have to, but it often does. It often does. And because we're so in the grips of the logical mind that says, that's rubbish, why would I want to do that?
Yeah, it's the culture that still values that above all else. I mean, we look at a country that has a huge environmental issue, a huge challenge, and note how the communities get together. Look at 9/11 in the United States. The love from the world poured into America.
Yeah.
And the people here in America came together. When there's a flood or fires, communities do band together. There's something, the best, that's the expression. In the worst of times, the best of us comes out of us.
Yeah.
And like you said, it doesn't have to.
It doesn't have to. We don't have to create the tragedies just keep unfolding in America with what's now, the fires, the hurricanes, and oh my God. Anyway, it's funny that you mentioned September 11. I was playing Imagine to my niece this morning. I posted it on Facebook. It was a footage of John Lennon, his first debut on television with the song, with Yoko Ono playing the drum. And she's 20 and she's singing along to it. And I said, do you know this song? She goes, everybody knows this song. And I said, this song's older than me almost. And when September 11 hit, that song ran through my mind for about a month.
Wow. Over
and over and over again.
Wow.
That song was such an amazing song. Imagine a world at peace. Imagine. But that, that's what we're going to talk about today too. So we got together to talk about the Insta world, like Instagram, Insta meditation, Insta channeling, Insta psychic awareness, Insta healing.
Well, when in my childhood, they developed something called instant oatmeal. And about 10 years ago, they developed something called Instagram. The world is moving quicker. How come nobody's invented Insta healing yet, or Insta knowingness, Insta psychic, Insta real time? In other words, it's real time channeling. So
up to you, Swami. That's yours.
I was shown it. It's mine. I did it. They showed it to me, and it's a lot of fun. It's real time. You can, within 20 seconds, you could just change everything that's congealing and let things flow again. And get to your heart, open your heart, connect with spirit, connect with soul, and just go on with your day. If you're, so like I'm in meeting somebody for the first time, and I'm finding that they're more of a type A personality, which I'm not used to so much, being directed right at me. And I know not to take it personally, but it's a lot. So I just do this for 20 seconds while they're talking, and everything clears out instantly.
Okay, so what do you do? So for people watching this, like, what are you doing, Swami? You do what? You close your eyes?
I turn them off. No. So, bad joke. You just put your hand on your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you think about an issue that you have, whether it's a personal, social, career related, or just a creative block or a spiritual, you're wanting to get somewhere, or maybe there's no blocks at the moment and you really just want to open up and go further. Whatever that is, think about it and kind of give it a rating. 10 would be the worst, the block, or an unbearable pain or something like that. And 1 would be manageable. And then just put your hand on your heart. And everybody at home can do this. And think about the person or the place or the music or the pet that you love the most, whatever is what you love the most. And think about that. Feel that in your heart. Feel that love, and inhale right into your heart and feel your love expand. And relax into yourself. Now, how do you feel? That's it. That was about less than 20 seconds probably.
So if you're coming up against someone, as you say, like a type A personality, or someone that's a bit aggressive, or someone that's insulting you, or whatever it is, if you're coming up against some sort of challenge,
right?
So you just do that. You just center. Obviously, when someone's talking to you, it's kind of rude to close your eyes.
Right. You don't have to close your eyes. You don't have to put your hand on your heart. But
Mm-hmm.
think about something or someone you love.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing which you can do, which is a mental meditation, you just say, thank you for making this the best experience possible. And now we're open to the universe without judgment. And that works every single time. And the more you do it, the more you remember to do it.
Just going to repeat that. Thank you for making this the best experience possible.
Right.
Yeah.
And we leave that to spirit to decide.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
it's really about being mindful, isn't it? It's about being in the moment.
Yeah.
Instead of getting caught up with your thoughts. You know, I watched a brilliant movie the other day called Pay It Forward. You know that beautiful movie about the little boy that his teacher challenges his class to come up with something that'll change the world. And then this little boy says, I'm going to do 3 good things for 3 people that's going to change their lives, and then ask them to do 3 good things, and then they are going to pay it forward. Beautiful. Anyway, the character in the movie that played his mother was played by Helen Hunt. And it was such a brilliant example of how we live life through our fears and not actually through what's happening to us. You know, like she's so defensive, like she's a recovering alcoholic, and she's been abused as a wife, and she's just this bundle of fear, right? And then you see how that plays out. Her character plays that beautifully. And that's how we are. We're usually not in the moment. We're usually living life through our concerns and our worries and in defense. And why is that person speaking like that? What's wrong with me? Not to think maybe that person's having a fight at home with their partner, or is having a bad day, or has, the period or whatever. But it's always like living through our fears. So what you're showing us is to bring us back to the moment and just be present without judgment. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. And specifically, it's feeling. Feeling is really the only thing we know for true. I feel this. It's a fact. I don't think this, I feel this. So if we come to our hearts and we feel pure love, that resets us.
Yeah.
To a huge degree. And it changes the relationship. So I was talking to someone the other day, and to be very frank, I had done such a big give in the world that I was asking God, why did I spend that much time doing that? That was 4 hours of my day. And he said, well, didn't you want to talk to other like-minded people about bringing the world into a better place? I said, yeah. I said, well, that's what you got your wish. And I said, oh, look at that. Well, a few days later, somebody called me and offered me an amazing bigger gift than I could have ever imagined. And I started to, at a certain point, feel uncomfortable because it was so big. And my old self was going, well, let's see, what might be wrong about this? And then the conversation started to close in. And I heard myself saying, let me slow this down because this is going too fast. And then I was mindful of that. I said, no, 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 let me speed myself up so I can catch up to the miracle. So it's a very interesting experience.
Because we've often had that thought. I've often had that thought. Let's slow this down. It's moving too fast. That's overwhelm speaking.
Yes,
that's overwhelm speaking. Yeah.
It's old thinking. It's old dogmatic thinking. It's not instant thinking.
It's not instant thinking. Because we are in extraordinary times and everything is accelerating and we do need to catch up. And something that, I see a lot is people of my generation just can't keep up with technology. They just cannot even I've got so many friends that say, how do you do that? I can't even think about, and you just have to keep up because actually as the technology advances, everything becomes simpler and simpler and simpler. Doing stuff on, the people that are creating the technology and making it simpler for people that don't get technology to be able to use it.
Well, that's a really great spiritual exercise that happens almost weekly. You're using your favorite social media, and every week they change the way it looks.
Yep.
And I've caught myself saying, why do they keep doing this? But then the conscious mind says, oh, but that's keeping your mind alert. It's not letting you fall asleep into same old.
Habits.
Yes.
That's it. Habits of conditioning. Oh dear. Look, we've gone completely off your story. So
oh, I thought we were right in the corner of it.
Okay. So your parents die, you go and learn meditation and you find out a few things when you're 18. Instead of going to university, you go and study meditation. What happens next?
Right. Next, so I became a meditation teacher. I spent 5 years, not actually so much teaching meditation, but going on meditation courses. Really, it was, as I said, it was like a spiritual message. Go and meditate for 3 years and figure everything out. And the 3 years went to 5 years, and I spent like 3 hours a day meditating, 6 hours a day meditating with a group in a structured setting. So I didn't have to think about much other than looking within. And then after 5 years, it was okay, time to come back in the world. How do I do that? And I did get back into television. And for the next 5 years, I just found it very empty. There was nothing spiritual about it. And I wasn't happy with the way they made decisions about how they aired things on television. And I was learning in that time to fill in the emptiness. I learned Ayurvedic medicine, Vedic astrology. And then again, I heard that voice, okay, so why don't you go to India and thank Mother India for all these things that you're doing now? Mm-hmm. And so I left my job, sold everything. I had a little fanny pack with a couple of bottles of herbs and my traveler's checks. I threw out my winter coat in the garbage pail, in the can, somebody could pick it up. And I flew to India. And when I was walking out of the airport, the guard stopped me, says, wait a minute, where's your luggage? There's a flag goes off. This guy is weird. He should be having luggage. I said, I have everything here in my fanny pack. And he goes, oh, okay. And I have met my guru in India and spent some time. I started to visit him every year after that. I kept feeling called back to the Western world. So I always would have one foot in the spiritual Eastern world and one foot in the real, the 3D world.
Yeah. I want to just say something too. Down here, down under, fanny, we say fanny is the front side of a woman, right?
Oh, is that right? Wow.
So when you say fanny pack, it's hilarious. We call them bum bags.
Bum bags. Yeah, we use the word bum. Okay, the bum bags.
Anyway, why do you think India is seen as so much more spiritual than the West, and yet there's so much poverty and pollution and mess in like a third world country like India?
Well, I think if you talk about PTSD, they've been conquered for millennium. They were conquered by the Muslims, by the Buddhists, by the British, on and over and over and over again. That's all they really knew, and they were imposed Western British educational system on them, and the British divided and conquered the Muslims and the Hindus. They separated them by a state. They broke Pakistan and Bangladesh up just to further incite and keep anger among the people there. So the spirituality, I think how does the fact that it even has survived, quite frankly, is quite a miracle. And then the young children over the last 3 decades or so, even though their parents became very material, especially in America, the Indians would move to America, become doctors and things like that. And the children would come to see me in my clinic in Ayurvedic center. And they say, my parents are so materialistic, but the kids from within, spirit woke in them. And they started creating these Hindu meetup groups on their college campuses. So the spirit is amazing, how it like skips a generation or something. And I think, everywhere at this point, you could say that the Indian teaching, the Vedic teachings are more intact. We're such a young country. We never really developed that per se. We have some things with Greece and some things with Egypt, but the history is not millennium, 5,000 years or more, such as the Vedic system or the Chinese systems. So I think that's what we base calling them spiritual on, maybe. But there are so many, these days, who's not spiritual, quite frankly? These days, more than ever before. I once had a guy come to fix my furnace. He graduated high school, that's it. And he gave me one of the most beautiful spiritual messages. He said, I think if you get up in the morning and you're not going to make a difference in the world, you might as well stay in bed. Just a smile, just be happy. I mean, Simplicity is like.
I know. That's beautiful, isn't it? If you're not going to make a difference, then you might as well stay in bed. Yeah. Okay. That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. I'm just thinking about, religion in the West versus, because, I went to India years ago with my husband, who was really he was a Hare Krishna when he was young, and he was really into the Vedic stuff. And I just saw the hypocrisy was even larger in India than it is here with the spiritual teachings. Everyone's being spiritual, but they're like pushing you out of line to get in to see the spiritual statues, like.
That's the sad part.
Yeah, ripping your money off because, anyway, I just thought.
There is that there. And it just, there's dogma everywhere in everything. And it's our personal jobs is to be aware and conscious. There's a wonderful saying that says, if the wisest man in the village says something foolish, ignore it. And if the village idiot says something wise, listen to it.
Okay. I like that. Say that again.
So, if the wisest man in the village or the wisest woman in the village says something foolish, ignore it. And if the village idiot says something wise, listen.
Well, interesting, isn't it? Because that would go against what everybody does. So there's plenty of people that have put themselves out there as wise men, be they religious preachers or scientists or educated, learned people, and they say a lot of foolish things, and people hang on to every word. And yet, as you say, you can have the guy come and fix your furnace and he says something more profound than...
That's it. And you felt it, and he means it, and he lives it. And he's not showing this to anybody. He doesn't have a website, he's just him. He's just him.
Yeah, he doesn't have a website, exactly. But, in truth, everyone is our teacher if we've got the ears to hear it. Yeah. So what are you wanting to know? Because in every conversation, the message will be there, in every conversation.
Yeah.
Not just on the YouTube clips or on the iTunes, but in every conversation, you'll find your answer.
The win. The wind gives you an answer. The bird gives you an answer.
Mm-hmm.
Just everything.
Okay, so you're teaching Ayurveda in India. How long did you do that for?
Well, I was teaching really in America. I studied Ayurveda in India mostly with Ayurvedic doctors. I had an Ayurvedic center in the United States for about 5 years. And then 9/11 happened, actually, and when everybody was stressed out and needed to come to see me, everybody stayed home. And it was actually now that I realized it was the end of, or the beginning of, my next Jupiter cycle. And so all of my clients, all of my students, they just stopped coming little by little. And then one day God said to me, okay, so you've got some time, go upstate New York and find a place to live. And you better hurry because the window of opportunity is about to close. So he knew I was about to complain or ask a logical question. So I moved upstate and I'm living. Oh, so this is a great story. So the realtor said, what are you looking for? And I said, oh, beautiful open spaces, some wooded spaces, some water, some fruit trees. She says, okay, I'll get back to you. And then God says to me, what are you looking for? But don't tell me all that stuff. One word, what's your priority? I said, oh, paradise. 3 days later, I get an email from the realtor, shows me a picture of a property. It says, your own little piece of paradise.
Yeah.
That's where I'm living.
That's where you're living now. Don't you love that? So you moved up to paradise.
Moved up to paradise, and up here there's tons of shamans and psychics, and a friend of mine says, come on, we've got the Blog Talk Radio, come on my show. It's a psychic show. And I go, okay, whatever. And then I hear what they're doing. I go, that's psychic? I've been like that my whole life. Oh, okay, now I know what psychic means.
I know. It's funny, isn't it? The last show I did was called Channeling Prince. We were, Lisa Wettenheiser and I were channeling Prince. And the first comment I got was, this was rubbish. Where's Prince? And, this was crap. I don't see Prince anywhere here. And I said in the comments, did you expect us to morph into Prince? Like, what do you think channeling is? I'm going to grow an afro, go black.
She's like a TV channel. We'll turn him on and there he'll be.
It's interesting how people perceive what psychic ability and channeling is,
Yeah.
It can be so mainstream, so normal, so...
It's, and more and more, I mean, that's how, for me, it's a conversation. Right now, I'm just letting spirit guide me in what to say, and otherwise just listening to you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a wonderful way to have a conversation.
Exactly.
It's not like I say, okay, I'm going to say this, and then I don't even hear anything you say.
Exactly.
It's like I just...
Exactly. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. You're so busy wanting to know what the other person says. Well, I guess that's called, what's it called? It's called listening.
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening on.
Most people are so interested in putting their message over that they're actually not listening to what they're... Mind you, I don't have those conversations on ATP. I think I talk to really good listeners. And I guess I'm a good listener.
You attract, that's your law of attraction working there for you.
Yeah.
You must be a good listener. You are definitely. You're a delight to talk with, because you smile, and the real you is there, and it just makes me feel so enjoying the conversation.
Thank you, Swami. So you've moved up to paradise, and you're on Blog Talk Radio, and what happens next?
I'm reading this book by Lynn Twist called The Soul of Money. And she in this book is a person with such integrity, how she has a lot of money and she uses it to help feed people. She uses it for the best of purposes. And I'm so impressed. This is the first book on money that has integrity for me by my standards. I go to her website and it's all about shamanic tours to the Amazon rainforest. And I look it up and it's really exciting. And I call them up and they say, well, we have a scholarship. And I said, well, if I can get that scholarship, I can go. And I got it. And I went on this trip, which changed my life, because that's when the instant energy happened.
Okay.
We were in ceremony with Natem, which is the name that the natives like to call ayahuasca. Ayahuasca is actually the pejorative word, which means devil's weed, that the Spanish put on them, so they don't like to use that word, but everybody knows it as ayahuasca. And in that ceremony,
so it's called Natem.
Natem, yes, Natem is roughly how I say.
In that ceremony,
spirit came down literally in a sort of a form of a human and went like this and blew in my heart. And everything changed. And I said, wow. And then I said, I can do that. A Westerner. And I came home and started doing that for my friends. And they would call me the next day and go, holy cow, what happened? Everything's changed. One guy fell in love. Another guy just became happy. And that's led me to refine this to the 20 seconds. You can't go around doing this to people, in public. But that started my whole shaman. Oh, and so when I was there, 2 of the shamans told me that I was a natural born shaman and healer, which was the wonderful validation to know that. And so when I came home with hearing that from them, that confidence, not to do anything differently other than just to be myself, because that's all I could be, doing the energy healing. I was doing a session like this with a client, and in the middle, she kind of looked down and rubbed her chest, and I said, what's the matter? She says, oh, I have a hiatal hernia. I said, let me try something. And I went like this, and she goes, what'd you do? It's all better. It's cool. How cool is that? So I just went on Facebook and said, hey, something's happening. Who wants a free session to see what's going on?
do some double-blind studies. Is this really happening? Is it a fluke? What's going on? Just
keep trying. And I've studied with other people, their systems, because it slows down my system enough so I could actually see what I was doing and systematize it to share it with other people. Because it's love is all it is. It's true love and caring. You want to see everybody out of suffering into health, into wellness, into joy, full bellies, full hearts, full minds.
Okay, I've got a question for you. Because I used to practice as a healer, and then I stopped calling myself healer and started calling myself teacher, because I didn't want to disempower people to think that I had the power to heal them.
Right.
That in fact, I wanted to teach people about their own power to heal themselves.
Right.
And, but you hear this all the time. And I know many healers that do this, this instant healing. You go to a healer, see a healer, and they wave their magic and bang.
Right.
Okay. So as I'm saying this, I'm thinking when you go to a healer, you're already in that spiritual contract. But what you're saying is that at that moment, I guess that was a spiritual contract between the two of you as well. At that moment that you did that to your friend, and she said, what did you do? You said, let me try something. I guess that was a spiritual contract as well. Oh, I'm getting the answer as I'm asking the question. But anyway, what's your take on people healing others and not, like the healer healing people rather than the healer showing the person how to heal themselves?
About 12 so years ago, I was teaching Ayurvedic certification to students. And I said to them, in the future, we will not have healing centers, because if we're good at what we're doing, we'll heal them. And if we're healers, we are sending the message out, come to me unhealthy. So we're perpetuating a myth. We're perpetuating something we don't want to perpetuate.
Yeah, we're perpetuating illness. And so does the health industry, the illness industry. The drug industry keeps people sick.
Right. And we want to put ourselves out of business. That's how good we have to be.
Yeah.
And so I said, in the future, there'll be joy centers. There won't be healing centers. You'll go to grow. Oh, let's do something joyful tonight. Well, let's go see that play about self-enlightenment. Let's go to a bunny farm. Let's go painting. Whatever brings us joy. And the same thing with the teacher. Teaching, I can't teach you anything. You were born with stuff. I can maybe remind you. I can help you awaken something. But I can't teach you anything. I can't heal anything. But in the colloquial, if you will, you know, so to have a shorthand. We use that. Where, you know, it gets a little weirder is when I hear somebody saying, okay, healers, if you do this, you will hold on to your patients. It's like, no, that's for me personally, it's a little too far to take it. I don't want to hold on to them. And even when I heal them, this is the crux of what I want to say to answer your question. I don't just heal them. That's the starting point. We do a clearing. Then now they're clear, say, okay, what's your vision? So now I've given them their power. I've just helped them, you know, just a pat on the back, a hug, kind of a thing. Okay, we all can use a hug. My hug is this, maybe.
Yeah.
Now you feel better. So look around. What's your vision? Okay. Now we're not even going to stop there. What's the next step you can take toward achieving that vision? So it's totally empowering the person, the client, the neighbor, the friend, whatever we want to call it, the guest, whatever we want to call that. So I do a 3-part session, even in my mediumship. Now, actually, what's happening just in the last 3-4 weeks, I ask people what their movie is. Let's movie your life. That's my new slogan. Let's movie your life. What is the movie that you love the most? Who are you in that movie, and what makes it so special? And now, during the session, then we take that and we integrate it into that person's life and dreams and visions. And they are supercharged, because everybody wants to be a superhero. Most people do. Or they want to be somebody. We have a mythology about film. If a film is done right, there's a mythology to it. There's a integrity. There's a inner spirit to it. You know, think of The Wonderful Life. I was talking to somebody today, a good friend of mine, and he says his favorite movie is Serpico, the policeman who stood up to the corruption in the police department. And he said, what integrity that man had. If somebody put a gun to his head and he goes, go ahead, shoot me, I'm not going to change my beliefs. So we all have something. Somebody else, The Wizard of Oz. Everybody's got a movie that moves them. Yes, we're moved by our movies. And then I'm helping integrate, and it's such a joy, such a gas.
Isn't that beautiful? I've just thought about the word move in the word movie. It's right there in front of you. It's like, move.
And if you want to bring India into it, there's a cow, moo.
True.
Moo is just om backwards, as they say.
Moo is just om backwards. Like dog and God.
That's right. I didn't make that up.
All right. So instant healing. Okay. So as I asked you that question, the answer I received was often instant healings are just a wake-up call to start you on your spiritual journey. Like when a healer does something to you and you've been in pain or chronic pain for 20 or 30 years, and then all of a sudden it's gone. Or you start to think, how did that happen? Like, why did that happen? So it's an awakening. It's an awakening. And, I've heard stories of people having instant healings and then them going back into their life and living their life the way they always have, and then getting sick again. And then I had a friend years ago, Jean-Paul, and he's a healer. And he said, I healed my mother-in-law of cancer, and then she broke her hip. And then I healed her hip, and then this happened. And then, and she said, you know what? He was scratching his head. It's like, I can heal them, but these people have to change their lives because something else is going to keep happening to sort of.
And that's why I do the 3-step. That's why I do the 3 steps, because I want to give them the empowerment and the tools, show them they see their vision. Oh, wow, look at that. Or I can help them see the vision until you see them changing. We were working with my friend today, and he just wasn't sure. He's in his 80s, and he's come a long way from, he went through the Depression and things like that in America. And God bless him, he's learning about neuroscience, and he owns a health food store, and and he knows that most diseases are caused by inflammation. He's really, really. And I said, well, do you want to get a certification as a coach? And he goes, no, I don't need no stinking certifications, That's a joke off of a couple of movies, the Blazing Saddles and the original movie. Anyway, I said, something? You're just like all he did was tell stories. He loves to tell about this travel and that travel. And he's got such an amazing heart. He has on the window of his health food store something to the effect of, the restrooms are open to the public, because in America, every store says your restrooms are only open to customers.
Oh, okay.
And he says, this is open to everybody. Come on in. He's got that heart, amazing, amazing heart. And we figured him out, just who he is. We accepted him who he was. You don't be a coach. You don't want to be a coach. You want to just you love telling stories. That's who you are. And only you could tell your stories. Nobody can copy you.
Yeah.
That's how you change the world.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. He's 80 and he has a health food shop. That's fantastic. That's amazing. Yeah. And for the first time, what? Yeah.
And for the first time in our conversations, we really got to the point where he goes, wow, yeah, you can put that on my website now, because I feel comfortable with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We tried to coach this, mentor that, and he couldn't accept any of that. So,
okay, so for people that are wanting to understand their own, I'm just thinking about the Insta world, like that was the sort of theme of this conversation. I'm getting back to the theme, because we could talk all day, you and I, Swami. For people that are wanting to sort of come into their healing abilities or psychic abilities, or be more connected to their guides or their source,
mm-hmm.
What would you say to them?
Thank you. Thank you from the bottom. Well, thank you from the depths of my heart. There's no bottom to it. It's natural. Set your intention. Put your eyes on your target. So if your target is to be more intuitive, just listen more, because your guides are always, the angels, the spirits, they're always giving us guidance. Look, you might just see a sign that says intuitive course Wednesday night starting tomorrow. Somebody might come up to you and say, hey, I don't know why I have to tell you this, but there's a course for you and it's starting tonight and it's on intuition. Imagine, plan for, expect, look for miracles every day, and you'll find them. Have fun with it. Angels are the funniest entities I know. Angel humor is instant. It's funny. It's hilarious. And lighten up. Those are some of the things I say. I say it to myself.
It's really interesting. I've taught many people this, and it's really about the decisions that we're making. It's because life is, as we were talking about before, with the Helen Hunt character, and life is a conversation in your head.
It really is.
It's a conversation in your head, and the conversation might be, I really want to know how to do that. I want to be that, but I don't know. I don't know how. I need to learn. I don't know. And the Insta conversation is, what if I did know? And shifting that decision from I don't to I do. And then
what hangs people up is the how. And for me, the contract has always been, look within, don't worry about the how. So don't worry about marketing yourself. You just develop your gifts. And when the time is right, I will put the people in front of you who I feel you can help, or I'll help through you.
Mm-hmm.
And when I've tried to market myself, it starts to feel I'm wasting all this time when I could either be helping somebody, but if nobody's there, I could be working on my own stuff, because it never ends. You can always get better. You can always refine. You can always improve.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what you said is a great insight. Anybody who thinks, how can I do it? That's the block. Just say, what if I can do it? Or thank you for letting me do it. or align. Let me align with spirit and work through me. Because it's true, our limited self can't do these things. You ever wish for something and it comes even bigger than you wished for it? So when somebody says to me, well, how much would you like for this? I say, well, I don't want to put a limit on that because it would be too small. When I do that, Spirit says, oh, that's all you want? We were going to give you so much more.
I know. I had this conversation with Marina Jacobi. Amazing woman. We talked about, she's talking about the quantum structure, and she says when you put a price on something, you're limiting the quantum structure. And she says everything she does by donation. And and so as a service, like when you have a service as a healer or a teacher or a coach or a reader or whatever service when you put a price on it, she says that you're limiting the quantum structure. And if you just leave it open and say, pay me what you will, some people will pay you nothing, some people will pay you $10, and some people will pay you $1,000, whereas, there's no limit to the quantum structure. It's an infinite field of infinite possibility. So every time you make a decision about the condition, then you're limiting the quantum structure. I have to say, I've had this discussion with her, and I haven't implemented it yet in my life as far as pricing goes.
Well, I will tell you, I did that for a while and people freaked out. They couldn't handle it. They said, no, tell me, please, just tell me. So I did try it and it didn't work for me. And these days, because we're also about community now, that's another thing. If you imagine how can you do something in the world that's bigger for yourself, intuitive, when we look at ourselves, I can't do that, and we're right. But in community, we can, with like-minded, like-hearted people. And so now I'm connecting with people in our group that we talked about, the Evolutionary Business Council. And I give, and that's what God tells me. You give, and when it's time for that, you are going to get something, I'll make sure it happens. And I'm giving, and they're going, holy cow, you just invented something that's going to change the world. This is the movie thing I was talking about. You should go and do this. And I said, I can do this stuff, but I can't market the stuff. You're a marketer. If you want to market this, I'll go 50-50 with you. And we're in the process of developing something quite magical. And it's going to start with helping the people who lost their homes through the forest fires.
Oh, wow. So, I want to get back to that. I want to get back to when you put yourself out there by donation and people say, no, please give me a price. But I have been that person. I like some sort of structure. Like they say, just pay me what you want. And I say, just give me a ballpark figure, because you think, am I insulting them if I pay them too little? Am I paying them? Like, you just like, please make that decision for me. Please make that decision for me. Just give me your price and I'll pay you. So I know that conversation. I really know that conversation.
And I had to honor, because everybody's in a different place, and everybody has a different modus operandi. And so, fine, I'm trying, and I'm just figuring this out along the way. So I don't necessarily have a right answer. Some people intuitively, I'll give them a price. Others, I'll say whatever. Others, I say, well, pay it forward. And others, I'll say, well, down the road. If somebody says to me, oh, thank you, what can I do something for you? I said, probably. I said, well, I don't know just yet, but it'll probably come to you. Sometime, somewhere. And if not, because every time, if I'm have the gift of seeing somebody help through me, the world is a lighter place suddenly. I've just been paid spiritually. But my contract is, don't worry about the economics. Somebody's going to work that out for you. And it does happen. And it's happening more now in community. As I team up with other friends, colleagues in the Evolutionary Business Council, we're making magic. We're making major things happen in the world. And there's an economic, we're just starting out. And so some things are about to crystallize. but the money is there for that. So I can't think about that. I have to think about.
Tell us about your movie projects. What have you got boiling there in the kitchen?
Yeah, my movie. Oh, this is the best. Thank you for asking this. So I started, if we talk about life coming full circle, I went to college and I started radio, TV, and film. And then I left that for my other dream, which was spirituality. And when I moved upstate, I moved up partly telling God that, okay, I feel we both feel that if I move upstate, I'll get to write more because it'll be less hectic. Yeah. And I came up here, and through a medium forecast, I wound up meeting a woman who had a writers group, the Angels Writers Club, and her whole house was filled with angels. And in the process, I wrote a screenplay about a shaman, a comedy, about a man who's very left brain, very rational and logical. And he thinks his logical mind is going to save the world, but nobody's listening to me. Everybody's watching these cats on YouTube, but nobody listens to me. And then, and that's a very common thing. And then one day he bumps into a shaman who says, "Get ready, your heart's about to open." And that hence starts this very comical coming to Jesus moment, coming to who I am moment, and dealing with your heart, listening to your heart, and showing up authentically unique in the world. And that's the message. And magic is all around us if we only start to look for it. But it does, when we start to open up, so far for most people, it isn't just paradise. There's like, you get beat up from those who used to know you. You can't do that, and you're not going to work here if you're like that. And you have to stand in your own truth, and you have to learn. So we thank those people for forcing us to stand up in our own truth. Mm-hmm. And it's a comedy, and I feel it's a universal principle, and I'm really excited about it. I found a director a producer, Hollywood producer. She only does spiritual movies now, nothing else. She already planted her flag in the ground. Mm-hmm. And she brought in a director who just totally got my movie and added so much of his vision to it. And so we've had a few meetings. Next, we are going to look for sponsors or attract sponsors and possibly investors of like-minded people. So I think within the year and a half, this project should be close to completion.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Movie, this is why I'm on YouTube, because movie and media is just such an important way that we remember who we are. It's programming. When television, like they put on programs, they're literally programming us out of our light. And that's what you said when you were working for television, that you just didn't like what was going on, because they're programming the fear into you. They're just like, this is what you've got to look out for, and this is what's going to happen, and let me show you how it's going to happen, and let me show you 15 people that this happened to and how horrendous their lives are, and watch out. Like they're programming you into fear. That's it. And so
God forbid you should be vulnerable.
Vulnerable, yeah.
God forbid you should be vulnerable, yeah.
Yeah. So movie is such a powerful way of delivering a message of hope, and remember who you are, and you can do this, and it's such a powerful way.
And laughter is the best, it literally is the best transformative tool that I know. It's instant, it's pleasant, and it opens you up in a very loving way.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, what's the movie going to be called, Swami?
Well, right now the working title is Going Viral. Viral. Because he wants his ideas to go viral on YouTube, but only those darn cat videos are going viral.
Yeah. The cat videos are going viral. But they do make you laugh and make you feel good, I've got to say.
Well, see, this is the guy who's so closed off to that part of him that just all here. He's got a good heart. He wants to help the world. But his childhood programming prevented him from accessing that. And now he's having the opportunity, much against his wishes initially,
to access that. Oh, look, there's so much to talk about, but I think we've done the hour. But there's just so much in what you're saying there. Well, Soul Traveller Radio, which is one of the platforms I have my show on. It's the conscious music station. It streams on the internet, all conscious music all the time. Bit of a plug for Soul Traveller. There, we've started to do promote films. So. I was in Sydney the other night speaking in front of 400 people promoting the film called Walk With Me, which is, it was supposed to be about Thich Nhat Hanh, who is the Buddhist monk, but it's actually who teaches mindfulness. He has that retreat in France, and the movie is actually a mindful movie. It forces you to be in that mindful space because, I wanted to stand up and say, you're not about to watch Rambo, but I didn't say that. But it is such a beautiful movie, but it just forces you into mindful because it's so slow. But that slowness just puts you in the moment. It puts you right in the moment. And then it delivers some messages, just beautifully illustrated visually. But anyway, so we're starting to do that. So
we'll stay in touch, and I'll let you know when the movie's out.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd love to come to Australia and show, what do you call that? Show the movie, whatever you call or whatever the insider word is for showing a movie.
Promote the movie, show the movie.
It's like your red carpet.
We'll get you down. Yeah. We'll get you down here one day. I tell you, there's so much bubbling away in the kitchen, as I said, so much cooking in the kitchen. But any last messages for our listeners that you'd like to leave them with? I know there's so much.
We covered so many wonderful things. Honestly, my message, I welcome and say hello and goodbye by saying joy, joy, joy. To me, joy is really the master key to everything. If you can, joy is a choice, happiness is a choice, and other people have said happiness is a choice. It's just so profound. Happiness, you could choose to be happy regardless what's going on outside. And it takes some time and it takes some mindfulness. But in terms of empowering, self-empowerment, if we know happiness is a choice, joy is a choice. When I wake up, I force a smile, even if I don't feel like it, because neuroscience tells us even if we force a smile, the brain gets fooled and starts secreting happy hormones. So fake it till you make it. There's a real scientific validation to pretending to be happy. You'll become happy.
That's really true. I remember when I first put my face on YouTube, my niece has said that she has been judged for having a bitchy resting face, right? There's a whole viral thing on YouTube. Your bitchy resting face. So when you're not talking or thinking, you're just listening, your resting face. Is it a happy face, or is it a bitchy face, or is it a confused face? Like, what's your resting face, right? And she said, everyone says I have a bitchy resting face. And we have a laugh about that. And so I thought about that when I put my face on video. Like, what's my resting face as I'm listening to people talking? What is my resting face going to be? Is it going to be like, what is it going to be? Is it going to be a bitchy resting face? And I thought, I'm going to practice smiling.
Right.
People are talking, and it just became inherent. So I don't even have to think about it now. For the first couple of videos, I thought about it, right? And now it's just natural. It's not a forced thing. It just happens naturally. It's just the response. Yeah. The response of the body.
You put muscle memory there, and after 21 days, you get neural pathways, so it just becomes a nice habit.
Yeah, exactly. But I have caught myself a few times with my mouth open as I listen to people.
Well, sometimes miracles are like, what?
Yeah.
I would say the takeaway, I do have a takeaway for your listeners, and that is look for something that's joyful. Look for something that's magical. Look for something good in the hearts of others. It's out there. You could find it every day. So if you look for it, that starts to create the attraction, and your body and the universe both say, oh, they want to see joyful, miraculous things. Let's start bringing them in. So there's something, an actionable takeaway that everybody can do. Something you can literally do, because we get into all this woo-woo stuff very clearly. And it's just a woo-woo idea, but it's an action. Look, what's a miracle? Well, you wake up, that's a miracle. People love you, that's a miracle. You love people, that's a miracle. Those are things to be grateful for. Just gratitude is another thing to get us to start to vibrate the law of attraction.
Look for the magic. Look for it. Look for the magic. That's the secret to instant manifestation is, what are you looking for? Look for the magic. Because as we were talking before, we're programmed into look out for something. Like, what do I have to look out for? And
what do I need?
Yeah.
What do people think of me? I won't be. It's about self-esteem also. You say, you can just pat yourself on the back. Good day. I had a good day. I survived, if nothing else. I smiled at somebody. I was helped somebody. Sometimes I'll go into town and go food shopping, and it's just not a day for me. I'm like, and I walk in the store and I see somebody who looks even less happy than me. And I go right up and I say, and I mean it, I'll find something in them that I like. And I'll say, oh, that's a beautiful shirt. Or I love the color of your shirt, or you've got such a beautiful smile, and they light up. And you know what? Suddenly my day's lit up. So there's so much we can do even when we don't feel like there's anything we can do. There's always somebody worse off than us. There's always somebody that could use a handout. It is about community. That's another thing I would share. We're all coming together, one real big happy family.
Yeah, the magic happens in the love vibration, doesn't it? I mean, there's science to that. A negative thought manifests slower than a positive thought, and a loving thought.
Less powerful.
It speeds. Like when you're happy, you feel like you're running your energy really fast, and when you're sad, your energy is running really slowly. So to be in an insta world means to be in that flow of love and happiness and joy, and that's where the miracles happen. Yeah, but look for the magic, look for the miracles. Swami, it's been so beautiful. Thank you.
Dear, you're so dear, Karen. Thank you for having me. I love the conversations. You're a delightful host. You just made it so much more pleasant to be interviewed.
You're a delightful conversationalist. Now, just to tell people who are listening, your website.
My website is orangecowboy.com. Orange Cowboy.
Because people are listening to this on iTunes and Stitcher Radio and Mixcloud and a whole lot of other platforms that don't have the visual. But if
I'm all dressed in orange.
He's all dressed. He's got the orange cowboy hat on. Thank you, honey one.
Thank you, dear one. Love and joy and light and blessings and abundance and just everything. Your dreams, they're coming true. They're coming bigger. I see you in arenas and just with heart and attracting and transforming Australia in a big way. And even beyond. The universe. There you go. Yeah, they're saying don't stop there. Keep it going throughout the whole universe. All the creation, because there's many universes.
Bye for now.
Joy, joy, joy.
Isn't Swami beautiful? There's quite a few things about him that I didn't actually say, and he didn't talk about either. He's actually written 5 books, and one of them is the best-selling book on Amazon, the Ayurveda Encyclopedia, which has sold hundreds of thousands of copies throughout the world. Ayurveda Primer, 21 Days of Joy, The Stress-Free College Student, Bhagavad Gita for the Modern Times. I'll have all the books and the links to them on my webpage if you want to go to my webpage and have a look. And he's also lectured at universities and all over the globe. He's actually a really fascinating man. Thanks for joining me for another hour Accentuating the Positive with Karen Swain. And remember, as always, if you want to jump on our Inner Sanctum webinar series, I've got Nancy Rhines coming up. I'll invite Swami to come in next year too, and you can meet him and pump him full of questions about spirituality and meditation and enlightenment and the Insta world, instant manifestation. instant healing, instant enlightenment, instant meditation. So many people struggle with meditation. Oh, I can't do it. But you know what? It is an insta world. We can tap into the flow of love and be in that instant miracles. So join us in the inner sanctum. We have a guest speaker that comes on every month, and you also get to see all the recordings, and we also do meet and greet and teach deliberate creation, how to flow your energy to be the genius deliberate creator you came here to be. And if you want a reading or a session with me, please head on over to my website and book a time to see me. Thanks again. Love you all. Blessings. Bye for now.
Thanks so much for joining us for another enlightened conversation on Accentuate the Positive. If you would like spiritual guidance from my guides, Blissful Beings, go to KarenSwain.com for a reading, or to listen to more enlightened thought leaders share their wisdom. Go to the listen page on KarenSwain.com and choose who you want to listen to. All the podcasts are also available on iTunes. Remember to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, you name it, we're there. Until next time, bye for now.
If you feel like that's what you want.